Good morning, sixth grade. Welcome to Mr. Bray's weekly roundup. As you can see, proudly flying my Eagles flag. We're 1-0 this week, going into Tampa Bay, looking for another win. So every week, everybody, I plan on doing a weekly roundup. So as you see, I kind of have it broken down on the board. Learning this over there. We're going to go over the 4 days this week from 9/11, 12, 13, and 14. We covered 4 lessons, and some of the main topics we went over this week: Cowboys, moving west, Native Americans. Lesson 1 was all about why we study history. Now, on the board, you can see all the things we talked about in class: real life heroes and villains, gathering pieces of information, tell us who we are, where we came from. And maybe the most important thing, we learn about mistakes people made in the past, and so we don't make them again. No one's perfect. People make mistakes. We have to learn from them. If we made a mistake 100 years ago, let's not make the same mistake now. So it's so important about history. All right, so lesson 1 was really short, sweet. Why do we study history? Let's go to number 2. Number 2, lesson 2, Westward Ho was the title. So we talked about people after the Civil War, even during the Civil War, after the Civil War, moving west. So I'm showing east, so I got to do the opposite. Moving west. And there was big time difficulties, things that they had to endure in order to be able to live out west. They were fighting 3 things. So be smart. I'll pause for a second. You tell me what those 3 things were. They were fighting and so I'm sure almost all of you know. The buffalo, the Indians or Native Americans who were there, and Mother Nature, mostly weather, were the 3 main things these settlers had to deal with. Once they left the friendly confines of the city, they were onto prairies. Prairies is a giant grassland. Okay? The main things they were growing on the prairies, which is number 3, were wheat, cattle, and sheep. They were the 3 main products. All right? The obstacles they incurred, besides for those 3, the land wasn't great. They didn't know how to farm this land. They were used to the land near the coast that was super soft. This was much, much different. All right? And westward movement was affecting cities. Cities were growing up in other places. People were leaving their cities and moving west and starting new cities. So new cities were gathering. It was a crazy time to be alive in the United States. There was all this untouched land no one had ever seen before. Crazy. Lesson 3. There he is, Woody. And I brought his buddies along with him. So in class, we just had the Woody gif with him getting shot in the head and screaming. So now we have Woody with his pals, Jesse and Bullseye. So lesson 3 was all about cowboys. I said Woody's the most famous cowboy. You might dispute that. And you can put it in the comments if you think there's a more famous cowboy. Doubt it. Okay? We talked about who cowboys were. Anyone could be a cowboy. Man, woman. It didn't matter how you spoke. It didn't matter what your skin color was. If you could do the job, you could be a cowboy. But we learned in class they did not make a lot of money. You can see down the bottom. They got paid $90 for 3 months of work. And then our math majors, I forget who you are in the classes, but I had the math people break it down, to which they made $30 a month and they made $1 a day. And do you guys remember how many hours they worked? They worked 15 hours a day. So we were estimating they worked from 6 in the morning to 9 at night every day. 16 out of 24 hours they spent working. With the Cowboys, most of the cattle was in Texas and was moving to Kansas and then to Chicago. Chicago is such an important place. We called it a distribution hub because from Chicago, all the cattle could go to all the other major cities on the East Coast. Seattle was kind of connecting us. And lastly, lesson 4, the train lesson. Choo choo. Let me ride that choo-choo and boo, you need to start riding. And oh, well, that's an old song that you maybe have heard before, but when I was young, it was cool. We're going to talk about the Pacific Railroad Act. This dude, I know this dude. The beard. He's missing the hat. This dude. That's Abraham Lincoln. He signed the Pacific Railroad Act that allowed the government to help the railroad to reach from sea to shining sea, from one end to the other. Without the Pacific Railroad Act, it would have taken much, much longer. But because he passed that, that made all the difference in the world. And by 1869, just 7 years later, two sides met. And we showed in class, one was coming from the east, one was coming from the west. They met in Utah. And finally, the east and west was connected. Once it was connected, guys, it was so much different. Instead of 5 months to get from Missouri to California, it took 10 days. It was so much cheaper to ride on the plane or on the train. No planes yet. It was so much easier to ride on the trains. It made life easier, and there was lots of goods. So those cities that were developing in near Chicago, we're now going to develop all the way out west in California, Nevada, and Wyoming, and Arizona, and New Mexico, all because of the railway. So we're going to do this every week. We're going to go through and do lesson by lesson. So you guys can use this for the quiz. The last thing I have for you is the stars of the week. Now, I've never seen so many stars. This is amazing. Like, this is crazy. Do you see all these names? Do you see this? This is me looking at it. This is crazy. I've never seen so many stars of the week. These are all the people. How you got picked to be a star is you turned in all 3 assignments that you've had so far. So I'm making this Thursday night. I'll post it tonight. You'll see it tomorrow. But these are the names. Like, this is awesome. Selah, Owen, Richard, Liam, Jacob, Eli, Connor, Tiani, Naomi, Mia, Marissa, Melania, Catherine, Jordan, Joelle, Daniele, Idris, Gerson, Giovanni, David, Christina, Braden, Benny, Timothy, Micah, Keelan, Kaylin, Deshaun, Kahir, Ava, Amari, Quinn, Nina, Marcus, Ariana, Amira, Umar, Jacob, Andy, Ayana, Nehemiah, Jathan, Eli H, Abigail, Gianni, and Jabria. Awesome. When I was making this list, I'm like, all right, the stars of the week should be everyone who turned their homework in. This is awesome. I didn't even count them up yet. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 20, 30, almost 40, over 40 students, 50 students had all their assignments turned in. Awesome, awesome job. So, time for your quiz. Good luck. You got this. Funny, I was as cute as that kid. I love thumbs up, dude. He's just the coolest. And like the last quote says down the bottom, don't stress, do your best, forget the rest. This is Weekly Roundup number 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck on your quiz. You got this. See ya.